Spirit Talk Live with Scott Allen is for entertainment purposes only.
My dear friend, a wonderfully, wonderfully gifted medium. I've seen him in action. It would blow your minds wide open. He's just incredible.
Patrick from London, you are on the air. Welcome to the show.
I mean, this reading has meant more to me than anything. And I'm so grateful.
Good evening, my friends, and happy Wednesday. I'm so happy to have you back right here at Spirit Talk Live with Scott Allen, and I'm here with my good friend, Stacia Wills. How are you, my friend? Do you have a good weekend?
I did. How about you?
I'm doing great. You know, tired. It's been busy. We got a lot going on. You've got a lot going on. It's been crazy.
Yes, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Well, that's all right, though. I mean, we're just busy.
Yeah,
it's a good exhaustion. It sure is. So we have a guest tonight, Lauren Robbins. Now, I met her at the Connecticut Paracon with Tom Gormley back in, I don't know when that was. Maybe July or August. I think it was before I went on my vacation to Florida. And so we had a chance to get to know each other a little bit. She was right across from me in the hall. And she's here tonight. She's from Massachusetts also. So we're going to chat with her and talk about all that she's got going on. Some of the shows that she's done. She's done a bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about. So I'm anxious to get her on the show. And I think people are going to enjoy meeting her. So I'm going to bring her out because why not? We're here and she's here and I'm going to bring her right out. How are you, Lauren? How are you? Nice to have you on the show.
Hi.
Nice to see you again, Scott. Hi, Stacia.
Hi, sweetheart.
Yeah. So you're in Massachusetts. You're on the other side of the state from me. You're south.
I am. I'm between Boston and Cape Cod. So I'm in Mansfield, Massachusetts, right next to Foxborough where the Pats play. That's what I always tell everybody.
It used to be Great Woods. I used to go to Great Woods there years ago. What's it now? The Twitter Center or whatever it is?
It is so funny because my husband is a fireman and he works concerts there in Mansfield, Mass, because they do a lot of coverage, and he calls it the Great Woods because it just changes so many times that you can't keep up with it anymore.
I've called it the Great Woods for decades. It's all it. I don't even know. I saw Elton John there and a whole bunch of people at Great Woods. It's one of those outdoor venue things where you sit on the lawn, but then there's covered seating down towards the stage, which is really great. It's a nice place to see a show. So thanks for joining me. I'm so glad you came on. You have quite a career and you have a lot going on, and I think it's going to be really interesting to chat with you. Would you mind sharing a little bit about how all of this started with you? Have you been doing this your whole life? Has this been with you right along?
It kind of has, although I didn't professionally start till about 2007. So I've been in business for 17 years professionally, but I started when I was 2 years old. Everybody has a story, right? Some people have like near-death experiences. Some people, I've listened to some of your other shows. Some people like you said you came into your 40s or whatever, or 30s. And this does happen a lot to people, like it just turns on a specific time if they have a higher level vibrational state. For me, it was never documented, but I think I did die at the age of 2 years old. I was had a lot of bronchitis and pneumonia. I coughed so much that I lost the muscle in my left eye. So it turned in and I had to wear a patch. My eyes never developed properly. I had to wear the patch, off and on for a couple of years, and I have permanent double vision. And I started that around 2.5 years old. And I remember my right eye is my primary eye I always look at. This eye can float. I've had 2 corrective surgeries. But this left eye, which is very fuzzy when I look, I could see ghosts and loved ones walking around the back. So my right eye is looking at, say, you, and then I'm seeing somebody that passed away walking in behind you. So it was really, really scary. And I remember I still remember pajama feet going downstairs, holding onto the banister and saying, Mom and Dad, there's people in my room. And they'd say, go back to bed. This is your imagination, which is very typical for little kids that can see.
Right. Do you still have that, or is it different now for you?
I still do. Don't tell the RMV because they would take away my license. But I
No,
wasn't.
I don't mean the double vision. I mean, do you still see the spirits behind them?
I do. It's funny. I don't see
Wow.
it as clearly as I used to, but I can go to a funeral or like a wake, and I can see the outline of loved ones walking around looking at their flowers. And I always joke in my events and say, make sure you get good flowers because they see what you got them. So I do see the outline of them.
Wow.
And it wasn't, I mean, I built my business over the last 17 years because I felt so like I had to do this work.
Yeah.
And I was a Reiki master teacher first. And I didn't want to talk about the mediumship. So I worked in science for scientists for a NASA project. I was a meeting planner for 30 years, but I got laid off a few years ago. So in the meantime, I was building my practice as a single working mom. And because I knew I wanted to help people, and the mediumship just came out when I was doing the Reiki work. So I built it, but then 2 years ago, I got laid off because of COVID. So I've been just running my business full time.
Wow. I find it fascinating, and we talk about this a lot, that I feel as though the instrument, which is us, you know, the mediumship, it changes. At least for me, it has. It's changed a lot. I was very visual, but it was never in front of my face. It was always mind's eye visual. And even that has kind of become a lot more nuanced and focused. It's just not, I still get it, but it's not the same. But to see them in the real world, I mean, that's a whole different ball of wax. That must have been frightening.
It was terrifying, and I could see not only loved ones, but I could see ghosts too. And I was at a very young age. I can't explain it other than seeing them, but also knowing through clairsentience. So I was very clairvoyant and clairsentient at the same time at that age. Yep. And then I developed all of my other senses because I can hear as well. I can smell. I have taste in my mouth if something is demonic or negative. And so I could also feel like the presence is approaching me and if it was good or not. And it was very, very scary for me because a lot of children, they can't talk to anybody about it because the parents don't believe them. So it's a tough world to be in when you're a little kid.
Do you know if anyone else in your family has had that, or is it just you?
Well, it's interesting because my sisters do not. One of my sisters has a little bit. The other one doesn't talk about it. But I had a grandmother that I never met. She died when my dad was 2 years old from tuberculosis, but she had a lazy eye. And she's the one that kind of called me back to it because I was doing the Reiki. And then I got a message when I was in my office doing something. It was like early, it was like 2000. Yeah, it was around 2005, 2006. And it was right before I opened my practice. And I heard her said, your father is going to die this year and you need to bring him back to me. And I'm like, who is this? And she's like, it's your grandmother, Blanche. So I called my mom and I said, you need to take dad back to the cemetery and visit his mom because he hadn't gone there for years. And my mother knew I had something going on. She said, I'm not going to tell him. He's going to think you're crazy. My dad had a lot of health issues at the time. And sure enough, because I felt like it was going to pass before September, he passed on August 8th. And it was like, and then I talked to a friend that was a medium. She said his mother took him, but he didn't recognize her. It was really like, it's almost like she turned it back on. So if there was anybody at all, I'm thinking it may have been her because she's one of the first ones that came to me from family. Then my dad came to me. And I also knew like my niece was going to pass. She's come to me. So I am both a psychic and medium, but the psychic developed after the mediumship which was interesting. So I have both of them. I'm lucky.
It's really funny. Go ahead, Stacia. Go ahead, Stacia.
I've been clairvoyant medium since childhood, but what I wanted to ask you is about your senses. It's hard, it's hard to find somebody as a young child who had all of them developed. I did. And I know it caused me some issues because I would sit there and talk about aches and pains and tasting things to the point they thought I was a hypochondriac at times. And, because, you might say my arm hurts. Well, what happened is your cousin broke the arm, your mom was on the phone, but you start picking it up. I wasn't sure if you did some of that also, and then had to learn how to decipher what the message is like, what the taste was, what the feel was, what the ringing in the ear and everything was, because I had to break that down and learn that over time.
That's very interesting you say that because it sounds like you're a physical medium and psychic. So like there's different kinds of mediums and psychics. And so you sound like you're a sensitive and you're an empath. So like I am the same way. That's why I can't work every day in my office. I feel if I'm reading something that's in front of me psychically or even online, which I did last night on a live, these people all over the country, I could feel their pain, emotions, thoughts, and feelings. And I feel deceased loved ones' pain, and I see their end of life experiences. So it resonates in my body. And it's true, because before I could realize, is it me or somebody else? I was going to the doctors all the time. I thought I had like fibromyalgia or something. And they're like, there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, that's not mine. That belongs to somebody else. So
I had to learn
how to quickly cleanse myself.
Yeah, like whoever came, like my back will hurt, and I'd like get a thought, and I'd call that person or text that person, "How you feeling? My back hurts," and then it would ease up. But I was working with Scott, and we were doing a case, and I said, "Ouch! Something just hot went through my shoulder," and that's what I said. I said, "I feel everything," and on the spirit box it said I was shot. And he got documentation. There was a woman shot in the basement in the left shoulder. And that's what I always say is I'm exhausted because I feel how they die, what happened to them, Yeah, so no, I'm glad to know that there's somebody else out there that gets beat up.
I find it fascinating.
From another spiritual mister, but yes, I mean it's not a fun part of the job. But I will tell you one thing I think is very evidential, because that's not something people always think that mediums look up everybody's information before they call them. Well, number one, we don't have time, but it's very evidential when you can feel, because nobody can tell you an obituary how the person passed away, their end of life moments. Only you know, and to be able to provide that to a client is very, I feel like, again, very evidential to them to validate things. And I say, it's just the way they speak to me. They tell me their story.
Yeah, that's what I said. They always tell me their story, and what happened to them, and they act it out. I feel it.
Awesome.
I just think it's fascinating how we're all so different. I mean, I will know now. I don't even know how I know. Sometimes I'll feel like I'm right here. I'm right here, but I'm not getting a pain there. I feel like it's almost like the energy draws me there. I don't even know how to explain that. It's like the energy draws you there, and you feel like concentration of energy, but I don't feel pain, or I know that I'm here, or I know that I had difficulty walking, but it's not because I have difficulty walking. I don't feel that. But when Stacia and I were driving in the car together, we got to a point, do you remember this? And right at the same point on the road, we both leaned forward and went, ow, we got it right in the back. Yeah.
Same time,
right
we both sat up and went, ow. It was very interesting.
What was happening at that time, though? Were you driving by the cemetery or something?
We were driving over a body of water. We were on a bridge. It was.
I don't know.
Maybe somebody had an experience where they died in the water and got struck by something. You don't know, because everything has residual energy. Everything has residual energy and memories. So
it's just funny. But for me, it's much more subtle and much more nuanced. And I almost wish it wasn't. It wasn't like that at first. I almost wish it wasn't, because it's easier to, to look at everything and pull it out. But, when you're doing it in your mind's eye and clear, with your clear sentience and clear, it's just different,
So can I ask you a question? Can I interview you for a second, Scott?
Sure.
So I want to ask you, what happens to you first when you start receiving information? Like, do you see it? Do you hear it? Like, I always hear first, then I start to see an image, then I start to feel the spirit. But what is because that's just the way you operate. Everybody doesn't feel, and maybe it's a good thing to feel, because it takes a toll on your body. It does on mine. I have a lot of health issues, so.
Yeah, I feel, but I don't feel. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's sort of there's always a sense of clear cognizance with everything I get. In other words, I might see something, whatever it is, but I also know what it represents. So it's like it's tied in. Do you know what I mean? Or I'll feel like I'm being drawn, well, let's just say here, but I'll know it's blockages and not something else. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that. It's a weird thing. It's like it comes in together, but it's subtle. So if I'm not paying attention, I'll miss it. I think I see first, but at the same time, I start getting other stuff, like in here. So it's I don't know if I always see them the way they were, or if I see them how I'm supposed to understand them. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'll see them, really, really, really sickly. Let's just use that as an example, and they were really, really sick, but they didn't look that way. They weren't emaciated, but it's like they're trying to give me a picture of, so I can describe it, because I don't hear. I don't get the audio. I'm not clairaudient, really. Only once in a while will I get something like, it's usually if I hear a name and it's like, bam, right in my ear. I'm like, okay, they just said, yeah, a few weeks back, I heard Blossom, right? And they were like, weird. And I said, he just told me Blossom. And the guy said, oh my God, there's no way you would know that. That's the nickname that my father gave my mother, Blossom.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it was, but it's so rare to get it like that, I know another medium who he says it's almost like he has a teleprompter on his back wall. He sits there and he reads. Oh, but I don't get it like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
Everybody gets it so differently. They really do. And that's why I always say people, like when they say, oh, this medium did this or that one does this. And I always say, like, it's not like I guess they compare sometimes, maybe or they go, well, this person has this, but everybody does receive in a very different way. And I feel like it's the way that spirit is going to present themselves to you. And that is your clear understanding. And it doesn't have to be you hear or see or feel. You can have two of them very strongly and still do your job. You know what I mean? So it's I feel like I'm a lifelong student. Like I have been doing this for a long time, but I'm always learning. I'm always understanding something, and it shifts for me too.
Yeah.
All the time. I'm shifting again, and I am, I'm not a young chickadee anymore. I'm shifting again because spirit will say, do this, do that. Don't do this now. Hold off on that. And I listen, and it always shifts me. And I started getting a lot of clear names just a few years ago. And I never got a lot of clear names before, but now it just pops out of my mouth. So you're still going to always develop, I feel, because you're still going to keep, I wouldn't be surprised you're doing in your 80s and your 90s and you're still developing. So
I would think so.
Fascinating. It's just,
I think you always level up. And you talk about shifting. That's something that's been happening to me. I've always been backwards in the energy world, as the females always come on the right hand side and the father side always comes in on the left hand side. I've been working on, I was a single mother working in power plants, so I had a lot of masculine energy. I have now been balancing it, and now they're flopping on me. Now I have, and I'm like, wait a second, you guys, I had a system down. And now I notice that they're flopping as they stand beside the people. But I've been balancing my own energy. So
see, I don't see them on either side. They just come in. Just a lot of times they're standing right behind the client, and I'm like, it's a male, it's a female. I see the outline. They're 6'4" or 6'2", and it's very cool. Like that, we can all do different things. But anyway, I don't want to go off topic, but
no, but
I could be on here for 3 hours, but
I like to find out how other people do it. Because I mean, it's like everybody tastes ice cream different. Everybody likes different vegetables. So, why wouldn't we each do it different? And I like to find out exactly, how other people do it. And then when you meet somebody that's close to you, it's like, okay, you resonate with them.
I'd like to tell you this, though. It's funny. I don't see the outline of anybody. I wish I did. But if I'm with you, I can feel them. And I can feel how tall and how wide. Oh, they're like 6 feet. And they're like, now, why is that? I don't know.
Do you feel your body? See, my body I can actually feel it like expanding. I feel like my body's expanding. Do you have that? Then I can say they're heavy. Or sometimes I feel like my body's growing and I say they're tall. So if I don't feel that experience, do you have that experience? How do you
I don't know if I've felt it that way. But if I sit and I ask them to share, I mean, not like possession, but I ask them to share the space, right? I can usually tell that way too. If it's a woman, because I can tell, okay, my hips are larger. You know what I mean? I can feel like I'm bigger on top or not, so I can get a sense of whether it's male or female that way by feel.
Okay.
And not so much because I know, and it's really bizarre. It just depends on how they come into me.
Cool. That's so cool.
It's just
they're describing themselves for you. I love it.
I like that.
Yeah, it's wild, and yet I still wish I could see them like I used to, because it's so much easier when they just show up. And then you can say, okay, there's a woman.
In time. I have a prediction that you will start to see spirit within the next 3 years. You're going to have to hold me to that.
All right, I will. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I want to say hello to Virgil from Manchester, England. Virgil, thank you for
Hi,
joining us.
Virgil.
And I don't know if you found us through Pulse Talk in the UK. That's who sponsors us there. And welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. And I did say I put her on before, Michelle Shelton. Thank you for joining us. And
And I
Tammy
see there's
Christine,
Tammy here too. Hey, Tammy, Michelle, and Virgil.
nice to
Oh,
see you.
nice.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the night over there. So what is it? 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like midnight, between 12 and 12:30, whatever it is. Yeah, over in the UK. It was really great because I was on a tour to the UK a few years ago, and that's how this started, right? So they found out that I was going to do a gallery reading at this castle in the UK as part of the tour. It was just I was on the tour, and she said, "Oh, would you be willing to do that?" I was like, "Oh, okay," just for the people that were there, you know. So this radio station somehow picked up on it, and I ended up doing their show. They asked if I would come on. It was part of Pulse Talk Radio. And when I got off the show, they said, "Would you be interested in being a presenter on our station?" That was a very good interview. And I said, okay. So we started out, the show was called The Paranormal Project. But I really kind of pulled away from that. I'm more into the spiritual medium, spiritualist type of stuff now. And that's why we shifted, and now it's Spirit Talk Live. Virgil says, thank you very much. You were very kind. Thank you, Virgil, for joining us. We appreciate it. So nice to have you with us. So, look who else is here. Medium Chris Clardy. Hi, Chris. How are you? Nice to see you. Welcome. So, Lauren, I would love to chat with you about Lady of the Dunes. What is that, and how did you get involved with that?
Okay, sure. So, Lady of the Dunes is one of the oldest unsolved murder cases in Massachusetts. This goes way, 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 way back to 1974, where a woman was murdered in Provincetown, Mass. Her hands were severed, her teeth were pulled, and hey, Peg, it's my friend. Her hands were severed, her teeth were pulled, so she could not be identified. She was nearly decapitated.
Oh my God.
Her body was found in the dunes of Provincetown. Beautiful, beautiful area. And so it was so sad because nobody knew who she was. And, think about the 70s, there was no cell phones, there was no way to ping anybody. And so it ended up being like this. Every year it would come up like in the news, and my mom remembered it. And I used to roll down the dunes around that time when I was around 12 years old, around the time, or 10 years old or so, when she was murdered. And so anyway, about 2021 or so, I was contacted by a producer in the area. He's like, hey, listen, I'm going to have this documentary. Can you connect to anybody anywhere you are? And I said, yes, I can, because I can read people internationally. I've always just been able to connect to their voice or in person with their energy. And he said, it's an unsolved murder case. Have you heard of it? And I said, my mom has. I remember a little bit when I was a kid. And he said, well, I'm going to have several mediums, and I want to know if you would like to participate in it. I met with him. We hit it off. And so his goal was to use mediums like the former chief of police on the case. You tried to use psychic mediums back in the day to see who is this person? Where did she come from? All this. So anyway, so I said, sure, I want to do it. I volunteered my time for it. My husband got involved in it. He's a firefighter. They were looking for somebody that had seen crime scenes before to see, did it look like she was murdered there? Did she look like she was strategically placed there to be found? So he was involved as well. And anyway, I'll just never forget the experience, because right after I signed the agreement, I started saying, like, listen, if you're around me, producer wasn't with me or anything like that, but I said, if you're around me, tell me what happened to you. I really want to help you. Like, be great, to get some credibility from it or whatever, but I really want to help this person. She's been unidentified for 47 years. That means her family didn't know where she was. Nobody knew where she was, what happened to her. And almost like immediately, within a couple of days, I started feeling a set of hands around my neck, like I was being strangled. So I said, oh my God, she's starting to come through me, because this is my office space I'm in now, and I would come in here to connect to her. And anyway, I'm just going to make it as brief as I can, because it's a very long story. But then she said, this man that I loved killed me. He has done this before. He was a big man with brown burly hair, and he's killed before. And I'm like, okay. So I tell the producer, I'm already starting to get this information. I'm not even in P-Town yet. So fast forward a couple of months, we all go down. None of the mediums talk to each other. We all are very, we kept it separate. Like I even said to the producer, do you want to, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I said, do you want us to have all meet and spin off each other? Because I never took formal training, but I've always kind of known everything. But I did take an advanced mediumship class just to be like, have the teacher say, yep, you know what you're doing kind of thing. But we did that in our class where one medium would pick up something, then the next medium would link to that person, then they'd continue and continue. Like it was almost like they were creating this band of information. So he's like, the producer's like, no, nobody else wants to do it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But when I got down there, nobody met each other. They all filmed in different places. But I was in the former chief of police's house, and I had to sit in the area where he actually died. He said, do you know where he passed in the house and what happened? So I kind of picked the spot. He said, well, this is actually where he died. You have to sit here to channel the Lady of the Dunes. So I did. I felt everything. She came through like full force almost immediately. She started showing me images through her eyes. This is why I called it through her eyes, because she literally showed me everything first and then started telling me. And she said again that it was somebody that she loved. He had done this before. There was another person involved. And then she started showing me these trees. And she said, we left Providencetown. I was killed 17 days before my body was identified. He placed me here because he loved me. He wanted me to be found. But I was killed on this road, and it's not P-Town. We were leaving P-Town, and then she showed me this road, and she said, don't forget to look for this road. And she showed me these trees that were so narrow with no lower branches. Well, I got so much information so quickly. I wrote a lot of it down, and she just kept channeling and channeling things. And so on the way out of P-Town, it was very exhausting. I worked. My husband filmed on Friday, filmed Saturday and Sunday. I stayed longer because on the way out of P-Town, she said, don't forget to see the road. Well, I forgot to look for the road. My phone dropped. I was talking to my husband. The Bluetooth went, wiped right out. Look over to my right, and there's this dirt road in the trees she had shown me through my eyes. So I drove up there with my nice little car, scratching the heck out of it because I was on a mission. And I went down there, and I started feeling deathly ill. So I took a picture of the road in the trees, and I sent it to the producer. I said, are you still here? And he said, yes, I am. I'm like, you're not going to believe what I just found. And I sent him the picture. So the film camera crew came back. They filmed the area. There was a lot of other stuff that happened. But bottom line was, she had also told me she had a son. And she also kept giving me the initials of LM. Now, she did not come up with a clear name, but she said LM. She said, Lauren. I said, that's weird. That's my name. Mm-hmm. And then she also said Marie at one point, which I completely forgot about. But what happened was that she was identified finally. I met some other people, but she was finally identified on Halloween of all days 2 years ago as Ruth Marie Terry from Whitwell, Tennessee. And she had a son. And he lived in Livonia, Michigan. That was the LM. Contacted him through social media. I'm like, I don't know if you want to talk to me, but I was in this documentary. He says, I've already seen it. He goes, I was having dreams already of a woman that was blonde trying to help my mother. Yeah. We started talking. We clicked like this. I told him everything I found out that she had told me. And he said, I'm going to talk to my relatives because he just found out who she was. She gave him up for adoption. So he never met her. So it was very interesting because everything that I put in my book, which was a short book, did come to light as mostly accurate, and he did endorse the book. So as pretty accurate, and still things are unfolding. Like I said, she came from California before she came into Massachusetts. She did. And there's a lot of other things that were very fascinating, but I will have to say it was the hardest thing I ever did for mediumship because I'm talking to a deceased murder victim. Yeah. And they have to trust me. And I can't just spew out anything because I'm also in a documentary. So you don't want to do wrong, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to watch that.
So like it's not that you ever want to be wrong with anything because it is your reputation, but like this is a person's life. you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I do this? This is a very different experience for me, but it was a beautiful one, but it took about 2.5 years of my life over
Yeah.
because she kept talking to me.
Hold on one second, Lauren. I want to get back to you just a second.
Sure. Yeah, that's okay.
Virgil, please feel free to leave your question in the chat. We're happy to answer it for you, but right now we're talking about Lady of the Dunes, so we will get to it, but I didn't want to interrupt Lauren to answer your question. So feel free to leave it in the chat, and we'll get to it shortly. Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. It's a long story, but, you know, basically what she had told me was a lot of it came to light as accurate, you know, like the initials, even the initials of who it was her husband that killed her. And he had the LM in his initials too. And he had
Good
killed
Lord.
his previous wife and they found her in the septic tank.
Oh my God.
As I'm watching, all this stuff keeps unraveling and I became really good friends with the son. So he was like, he said, oh my God, I can talk to my mom who I never met. She gave him up when she was 19. She had moved from Tennessee to Livonia, Michigan, where she gave him up for adoption. That's why she kept on saying LM. She wanted me to find her son.
Yeah.
And I found her son, and he like basically went into tears when I talked to him. He said, I've never met my mother until you, because he said, you helped me to heal and you helped me to get to know my mom. And he also validated my work because he said, yes, she did come. I thought it was Orange County before she went to Mass, California, but it was like a town over from Orange County, but that's pretty close. I mean, that's close enough. And it was just fascinating to me that there are other murder victims out there that want to be heard, but I don't think law enforcement really, because I did reach out to the state police. I went to the FBI. I said, I have all this information. Do you want to see who this is? Not for me, for her, you know, to find this family. So.
Do you have experience with law enforcement? And I mean, I know you said they don't really, you hear about it sometimes that they use psychics, but what's your experience?
I've never dealt with law enforcement. It's funny, my husband, while he's not a police officer, but he's a fireman, and it's funny because some of the guys to the fire department or the police will come up to me like on the side and go, I kind of believe, but they don't want, it's like they don't believe it's like demasculate, you know, they don't feel like they're manly. But I don't feel like a lot of the police or state police do trust, because actually Richard had a lot of connections to the state police and FBI. He was telling them certain things that I was saying too. And I was also contacting saying, listen, there's other things that she also showed me where she was murdered. How do you know? Because she told me that she lost a tooth when they put her in a body bag, and some other things that maybe would have found some more information. But that's my story. And it's a very long story.
Hi, Greg. Now, I have worked with law enforcement, and I always say those are some of the hardest cases. Or a parent has come to me and a child has been murdered, etc. A partner has been murdered, and I start giving the message, and things have been, hi, Tom, and things have been overturned or reinvestigated. And I always say those are the ones that take the toll, you know, on me. They really do, because once again, you know, they step in, like I can feel them. But, you know, I think one of the most interesting things I've ever dealt with was Murder Marsh in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I worked on the power plants, and I would go in and it was like Zombieville. And I mean, these people are telling me, you know, and they're walking around, they're dead. And finally I looked at everybody one day and I'm like, what's up with all the zombies around here? Like, what happened here? And they all started laughing. They says, well, what do you think happened? And I just kind of closed my eyes. I says, I'm getting the train, which is right above us. I'm getting chloroform. And they started laughing and they took me back there. And I could just see all these dead people walking around. Well, it was one of the dump sites for the Cleveland torso killer. And I was just beside myself that every time I would go in, I'm watching like this zombie apocalypse play out within this fenced in area. So, you know, there's dispute who the killer is. I will say I had somebody come to me. By the time I got home, I was sitting in the tub, relaxing, trying to, you know, forget what, you know, I actually saw that day, what I actually let myself open up to. And I had a voice come to me. And now I do live in Cleveland. And, you know, there was a lot of, you know, dumping on, you know, Kings Row and everything. But that's something I'd like to dive in a little bit more, is in that case, because I just worked on that plant where some of these bodies were dropped.
It'd be interesting. Maybe we'll have to hook up and do another show on this or
We
connect.
might.
Honestly, I think it's fascinating because it is residual energy and they're trying to tell
Correct.
the story with anybody that's going to pick it up because they did have those experiences there.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask the two of you something because I've never done anything with law enforcement before, I'm not mentioning any names, but I did have a session recently where this young girl, I would say she was 8 to 10 years old, came through to me. She said that she showed herself like on a milk carton kind of a thing. They were aware of it. And I said, she's telling me that they don't really know what happened. And they said, well, they don't really know what happened, but they know now who did it. And I said, okay, there's an uncle, an uncle who's shady. She's telling me about this guy who's shady. They said, yep. And I said, she says it's not him. And they said, yes, it is. It's absolutely him. He's in jail for it. And they went and they found images on his phone. I said, it may have been sexual abuse.
Yeah.
But he's not the one that killed her. And there's somebody else. This is what she's telling me. I'm relaying the message, right? There's somebody else. There's somebody else involved with this. He's the only one that they've looked at. I said, she's telling you there's somebody else. I said, and her mother has got her room locked up like a museum. And she wants her to live. She wants her to live. But I feel like the person who did this is not being held accountable. I feel like, I'm not saying that the uncle was a great guy. I don't feel like that at all, because I got that from her, that he was very shady. But interesting to hear what your thoughts are on that kind of a thing. When you have people that know, you know what I mean? Like in their minds, it's already finished. It's over and done with, in terms of accountability. I
think they need the closure. So I think it's just easier to sweep it under the rug. That's their closure. But I do feel that the uncle knew the person.
I heard uncle too, but I also started when people, I always tell people when I read them, don't tell me anything but your reading type, because you start mentioning something, I feel it immediately almost, or I hear it, I start to feel it. But she was definitely sexually abused because I have lower abdominal pain and way down the pain. It was several times, like repeatedly. Then I feel like she was strangled. Do you know if she was strangled at all? Because I do feel like she was screaming and they strangled her to quiet her. But I also got water in my lungs. Was she found in a lake?
So I don't know, and we didn't get that far. And the reason I didn't get that far with it was a public demonstration.
Okay.
When this came through. So there were other people there, and I didn't want to get into the graphic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into but I did say, it's funny because she showed herself on a bicycle. And I didn't know if maybe she was taken off the bike or the bike. Nope, there's nothing with the bike. Now, the person that I talked to was not family, by the way. That was the other thing. The person I spoke with was a grief counselor. She was the one who knew the girl and had been helping the family. So it's not a direct link.
What was weird is when you say I felt like I was being held down. I do feel a second person there, but he feels like he knows the uncle. The uncle is.
Yes.
This is the second one. But I'm also getting a weird kind of body odor. I feel like I'm on the ground. Somebody's on top of me. But you know how when guys smoke or drink, that scent that comes through their body. But then I'm also smelling oil. So I don't know if they worked in a garage or if it happened in a garage, but that oil smell, oil rags, oil pans, that car oil, I'm smelling that.
This is very interesting, but see, I'm not getting that. You're getting that, but I'm getting something else. And that's where 2 or 3 mediums coming together for a crime scene would be very, very interesting to spin off that, because now it's completing part of the story.
I would like to know, what the uncle did for a living, or if it was near a garage, but I just keep getting that oil smell.
It was somebody that was associated with the uncle. I feel like it was a friend or
Yeah,
something.
that's what I feel.
And I do see a dirt road, but I feel like, you know, that it was a friend, and it's just like he had a history of trouble.
Yeah.
And there's a T in his name. So first to last name, there was a T. So anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm just getting a weird smell of a musty man, like that smoke, that stale smell in somebody, and oil. I'm wondering if they didn't work on cars.
I don't know, but we gotta talk to some people here. They're all waiting for some readings.
We do. Let's go through. Yeah.
I'm finish on that, but I don't want to. This is your thing.
Well, Lauren, you broke up a little bit. What was that you were saying?
I said, unless you want to continue with, you know, what Stacia was saying about that, but.
No, well, I would like to get to Virgil, because he asked a question here, and it's kind of sad. So I want to share this with you. Where am I here? Virgil says that his girlfriend took her life in Manchester, and she was married but separated. Her name was Jane. He said that in the following message, and that he's having difficulty sleeping. Virgil, I don't know what your question is, and I'm sorry to hear about your girlfriend. That's obviously just awful. But I don't know what your question is. Is it something about sleeping, or you kind of let us know what the question is related to Jane? I think that would be helpful, and then we can discuss that a little bit. I also want to say hi to Ashley.
Yeah, is it okay if I say something?
Please do.
No, I definitely feel it around my neck, so I'm really, really sorry. But there's something about 1 or 2 children or something that she's saying. If you can just put in the comments box, I do this on Facebook Live too, like if it makes sense. But she's saying it had to do with the child, or something about the child. So I don't know if she was pregnant, or if there's something going on with the child, or if she was going to lose a child because of the divorce that was going on with this. But she already had like a mental health. It feels like she already had a breakdown over this before this happened. And I'm really sorry, but she said that you do see her, but you do see her in dreams, but when you see her in dreams, it becomes scary. So Virgil, can you let me know if that makes any sense in the comments box? Because I hear her voice very clearly. A lot of times I hear first, and then sometimes I see, but she does have long hair. It does look like it's long and it's thin. It's like a dirty blonde. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, we'll see if he comes back in. I'm sure he's here because he was listening. I'm going to ask, while we're waiting for Virgil, and we'll get back to Virgil, Ashley's asking, she has a question about her dad in 2000. She was told that he was murdered 20 years later. I need to know if he was and why. Her dad passed in 2000. 20 years later, you were told that he was murdered.
Passed into that. I was told he was murdered 20 years later. Okay, I need some clarification. It was 18 years later, not 20. Okay. Do you want to? I hear it was 18 years later, but when did they actually find out? And did he have some stab wounds in his chest or something in his neck or his chest, Ashley? Because I'm hearing 18 years ago.
Well, I'm going to say you're spot on when you're saying stab, because I'm getting it up under the ribs, like within the heart side.
I'm getting like right here to here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting it over here. But also,
I'm sorry,
I
Ashley.
kept getting gambling, owing money. You know, like there was a money issue, but then I kept seeing roulette, and you know, I was just like, there was something there that he was having a money issue with.
Okay. Is it okay if I go back to? I sorry, I can go back and forth between people when I do it on Facebook. I do it so quick.
Yep.
So I'm
Yep.
For these. So Virgil, you were saying like totally every night. So you are seeing her every night, and does it make sense with her hair? It was long. And did she also was there something with the child though? Like, because I feel like there's something with a child. Was she pregnant?
Like
was there a child that she was going to lose or something over this? If you can let me know if that makes any sense. Hey, Enfield Demon House. Okay. But I heard he was strangled. There is something with, I feel like a stabbing. There's something a lot with Ashley, right? Do you feel like?
And you know what? She said heart attack. That's right. I'm getting right up underneath the rib cage on the left-hand side.
But I'm also getting a heart attack though too. So it may have been when she said that, I did feel it, not because she said it, but I started to feel it too. It may have been what he was experiencing at that time, but he was definitely murdered. I mean, that's the
but
way it feels
that's
to
where I
me.
said it was hitting right up under the rib cage on my left hand side. But murdered, I'm gonna say yes, but I'm just there's something there with money, owing somebody, you know, debt, gambling. I'd like to know if she knew anything about that.
She's saying they waited 20 years to tell her, and then he was pushed in a ditch and left there.
That's awful. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Awful was right. Oh,
Alcohol was involved. Oh, there was more to it, Ashley. I think they're just trying to protect you. They didn't want to tell you everything. She was 3 months pregnant. Oh my God, Virgil. Because I said there was either a pregnancy or a child or something about a child.
And I'm glad you said it, because I was feeling like postpartum, something hormonal off. And so when you said pregnant, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because it just felt like postpartum depression to me.
Oh my gosh, she was 3 months. Oh.
So sorry, Virgil.
That's
awful.
But did she end up having a breakdown too before then? Because.
And when do the nightmares stop? Is what he's asking. When do the nightmares stop?
You need to tell her before you go to bed. Just be like, I know you're trying to come through to me, but I need to see you in a good light.
Yeah.
Not this, like, I know you are not in a good place, but you need to tell her, like, sometimes they don't know because they're trying to identify and they're just coming through the way they can, but like your own memory is going to take over that. And you have to just say, please come through in a good way, because I'm not going to want to receive messages from you. I want to see that you're okay. And maybe you need to tell her you forgive her for it, because sometimes they think you're angry and they might come through in a different way. But that's just I've been doing this for a long time, but that's just what I feel.
Well, Scott and I just experienced that, where they come off very aggressive, but they're just trying to give their message. You have to just ask them to back down a little bit.
So looks like, Stacia, you were right about Ashley, about something about money or whatever. Did you see that?
What'd she say? One
person. His boy, BFF and money, yes.
Yeah.
Says they took my dad's stuff, truck Mason ring on death certificate, says heart attack. So it doesn't say stabs, it says heart attack. Okay, I understand what she's saying. In other words, I didn't understand the question about the heart attack.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay. But I was hearing something about stabs.
And that's where I was getting stabbed at. So,
but I'm not going to say like I'm never wrong, because we always have room for error. But
absolutely.
I don't know. Did he ever get stabbed before he died, like another time? Because I get stab wounds at him for sure. Like I keep feeling it in my body, and sometimes it might be something you don't know right now. Okay. But she was a very senior nurse.
Yeah, she's a very senior nurse.
I'm very sorry.
So sorry.
This is awful. Two really terrible situations. Yeah. Just awful. Just awful. And, you know.
So he was in the army. I wonder if he was stabbed in the army. Okay.
Well, it's funny because when you said stab, I felt it, but I also felt it on the left side in the rib cage in the heart area. So it's, you know, it's letting me know it's the heart, but it was the pain that you get when you're running in gym class and you get that stabbing pain right in the side and it hit the hearts.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me.
Mm-hmm. Right. Of course, Ashley, no problem. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, anybody have any questions? If you want to call in, you can. Our number's on the bottom of the screen in a minute. 775-264 Spirit. If you want to call, you can chat with us. You're very welcome, Ashley. So glad to have you. And Virgil, yeah, you know, I'm sorry for everything you're going through too. And I would just say, you know, visits are okay, but you don't want to be frightened. You know, good visits. Let you know let you know that she's okay. And maybe just to take a break at night. Maybe that's not how you want to see her right now. You know, you need to get some sleep.
Maybe look at a good picture. Like I tell people sometimes, if they start getting those images, look at a good picture of them when you were together and try to keep that in your mind. And you don't taking up our time, because loss is hard, especially when it comes to suicide. Loss is hard, but she really did struggle. And I just wanted to know if that's what she looked like, because it's driving me crazy. I just see long, stringy hair. Not in a bad way. She just had very fine hair. y'all come to the South States? Maybe.
Maybe. You never know. How far south? I guess that's the question. I think she's in the Carolinas, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where she is.
So my next prediction is the Paracon conference, paranormal conference in Salem, Mass.
Right.
In October is going to be successful.
Yes. Yes. And you're going to be there. So it's going to be very successful. That is Tom and Charles, Tom Gormley and Charles Rosenay. They are running that, and it's in Salem this year in the month of October. So if you're in this area, please check it out. And, I did visit last year. I did not set up there. Salem is just wonky with you have to have a license to read in Salem. And I just was sort of, I didn't have any, I felt like I would just stand there and that was about it, so I didn't go, but you're going to be there this year. So this is a great thing. I'm going to try to make it out at least for one day and visit and say hello.
Yep. I'll be there on Sunday. Did you met my friend Peggy? Remember you met Peggy, my friend? She just said hi to you. She's on this call.
Nice. Yeah. I met Peggy. Who's Peggy? Did I meet Peggy?
At my booth in July.
Oh, that's Peggy. Oh, okay. Peggy. Nice to see you. Yeah. Hello from Fleetwood Paranormal. And of course, Virgil saying she was so beautiful. I'm sure she was, Virgil. I'm so sorry you're going through this. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a long struggle.
I'm ready to go for more readings. Who wants something I can do?
Who wants a reading?
Mediumship. I got it all, girlfriend.
I got to tell you, Lauren, I find, I don't know about you, when you do your Facebook, I have difficulty managing the phone, the chat, and then, then you're back up to spirit and then you're back down. And I don't know. I have a problem with it, trying to manage it all myself. I thought I could handle it, but I don't do that really well. I'm more of like a moderator, doing this kind of stuff. Hi, Derek. Nice to see you, my friend.
Again,
welcome.
It's just a preferential thing. And I never thought I could do like a Facebook Live because it's so fast with the questions. Yeah. And I'm like trying to pick them up.
Yeah.
It's very interesting when it does make sense to these people. So I'm like, whoa.
No, I think it's great. But it's like I have to not be doing everything else at the same time. Right. I feel like managing all of this is kind of rough, So I just let it.
You can learn someplace else.
That's it, So Derek says he's always open for a reading. Okay, what are you thinking about, Derek? Are you looking to connect with someone? You just tell us what you're looking for. Are you looking to connect with someone or?
Candace.
Oh, that's Candace. That's his wife. Okay, there it is. There it is, right there. I saw the feathers. Yeah, always open for a reading.
Are you looking for a mediumship one? Because I do feel like there's a mother coming through, or mother.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, something wrong with my head. Yeah, a lot of pain.
Connect to someone. Yeah, saying connect with someone.
There's a woman and a child missing from Fayetteville, North Carolina, for over 2 months.
Let's see. Let's focus on Derek for a minute and see what we can come up with, and then we'll skip to because it's even I can have a hard time handling one at a time. Never mind 4 at a time, but they're all bouncing off. So we'll get to the chat. Just put it in there. We'll get to the chat. We'll keep going. I do feel like there's a mom around Derek coming through. I don't know if it's mother or mother-in-law, but I did feel like there was an older woman coming through.
Yep. Derek, was there anything going on with her head at all? Like, did she have Alzheimer's? Or did she end up having a brain tumor because it got pain there? Stacia, do you pick up anything?
My legs started hurting, like varicose veins, or that deep vein. What's that called? Deep vein thrombosis. What is that? You know what I'm talking about?
Thrombosis.
Thank you. My legs, I couldn't get that out. My legs just started aching really bad, or there could be like a magnesium deficiency. I don't know. My legs just started aching the minute you said mother. They were hurting me so bad.
How about your feet, though? My feet are swollen.
Well, yeah, that's like how so that's why I keep, when you said it, that's why I was even shifting. Like I'm trying to get my feet comfortable, my legs, it just, everything down there hurts. So I don't know if she had a blood pressure problem. You know what I'm saying? I there's something there with the legs that really uncomfortable.
And I'm feeling tightness in here too, but it doesn't feel like heart because I'm feeling it around the chest. So I don't know if we're filling up with fluid. It could be lungs, could be, like congestive heart failure, that kind of thing. But I feel like I'm tightening up in this area as well. So we'll see what he says.
Body's shutting down to me.
Yeah. Okay, where is it? Debbie. I want to look at Debbie here. Debbie Adam. There's a woman and her child missing from Fayetteville for over 2 months.
The minute you first read that, I instantly felt water.
I see a shed.
Yeah, just give me a
I
second.
think they're both gone.
So do I.
Shed.
Yeah, they don't feel present to me.
No. Was it a little girl, did you say?
Just says her child. Just says her child.
It feels like
a woman and her child.
Little girl. But there was also a little boy, so I don't know if the boy was with her, but there's a girl and a boy she had. I don't know if they're both with her. I don't know if you would know. It'd be great to get some comments, though, in the box to validate if this makes sense, because I always ask my clients on Facebook Live, validate if this is making sense, because it always is great to get the feedback.
Yes, a little 3-year-old girl.
Okay.
Oh, so Derek wrote back, stroke.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cancer, so that would make sense with the head while I was getting the pain in the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, she also had cancer, so she probably had all that stuff that was going on with the fluid in her body. Very interesting. Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear about her.
This with the little girl. What are you picking up on them? I'm almost feeling like, I don't know if something happened to them or if they did something, the mom.
I'm getting the oddest taste in my mouth. It's almost an energy taste, the same taste I get when I'm around power lines. Like the huge power lines, I get an electric taste in my mouth. So I don't know if they're near electricity. Like I'm tasting it. It's in the back of my throat. Give me a second with her.
Does anybody? I know that Debbie. So I got to ask you. I mean, you probably know more about this. Obviously, I don't know anything about this, but was she trying to run away or something? Did they think she was trying to run away from her husband or run away from somebody with the child? Because it feels like there is something in her system,
Yeah, it's just it's weird taste.
And so I don't know if she was poisoned or she was drinking or something at the time, but there was something, and I did see a little girl with her. So that's interesting that you did pick up the little girl. But I also feel like she had a boy, whether she had a miscarriage or she had a boy that was alive that wasn't with her. And then I see a shed, she ended up passing first in the shed. And this would be very interesting. You can come back to Scott if this ever gets found out. And the little girl passed away because she didn't have anybody to take care of her. The mother was in there resting or hiding or something. That's what I'm seeing.
It's near water because I can feel the coolness, of the water. You know how how you feel the mist or the dampness coming from the land when it's near water. But at the same time, because I saw a duffel bag, one of those old 70s, 80s high school duffel bags. So when you had said about running, I'm like, yeah, I saw that and I could see her laying, how you use the duffel bag to use as a pillow or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But I almost felt like the little girl died because of the mother. Now, whether it was neglect or intentional, I'm not sure. But if the mother was, out of it, I mean, who knows,
That's why I says the taste I was getting in my mouth was very foul tasting, different than what, I usually get. But if you would take Ambisol and put on your tongue that numbing, burning feeling the whole ways down through, it was a very odd taste.
Maybe she was being poisoned or something.
Yeah, it was just.
And she found
something in her system.
Trying to get her daughter out of there or something, but.
Yeah, there's something in her system.
Yeah. Peg is asking, she's at a crossroads and is she making the right choice? Is that your Peg? That's your Peg.
That's my Peggy.
That's your Peggy. Okay.
I love her. She's my spiritual sister from another mister. And you're my spiritual brother from another mother, and you're my spiritual sister from another mister. So,
yes, Peggy.
Please don't tell me you're changing. You're not sure if you've made the right decision to move.
Don't second guess it. It keeps saying, "Don't second guess it. Just do it."
I love her. She changes her houses just as much as I change my cars. I always tell her that as a joke, but Is it the, all right? You pick up because I know her. I'm going to have you guys pick up on this one because that's.
I instantly, I saw the crossroads, and it's wanting to take me down the one path, but Peg, you have to quit second guessing yourself because I keep going up and then going back, going up, going back. Just do it. Just do it. Stop second guessing yourself. I also think you need vitamin C because I keep seeing oranges. I don't know what the oranges are, but I think you need vitamin C, so take it, please.
I'll take her on a vacation.
Yeah, go to Florida. There you go.
Thank you, Virgil. I hope you do get some sleep tonight. Let's see. Okay, so Kay is saying she's a newbie and recently mentioned a missing girl from a dream many years ago whom she can't forget, and poof, here I am. Yeah, thank you always. So yeah, there you go. So sometimes that's how spirit works. Much appreciated. I'm just looking. Let's see. Kay says prayers for all those who go missing, and sadly way too many. New York alone, my dreams was years, yet I found her online. What to do? I guess I felt bad, yet hope will work assisting best. Yeah, it's terrible. So yeah, anybody else want to chime in? You're welcome. You can ask a question or whatever you like. Feel free to chime into the chat. We've got a few more minutes before we have to close out the show. I think that, and Tom came on here too. Let me see. Tom said something. God, all the messages started going at once here. Let me see. Right here. That's the website, Shadows of Salem. That's where you're going to be. The shadowsofsalem.com. So anybody interested, you want to find out about the convention, if you want to find out how to get there, where it's going to be held, it's in Salem at spooky time. So it's October. Should be a zoo, but it'll be a lot of fun.
I've been getting a name the whole time, and I'm just going to throw it out there because I keep hearing Deborah. And it's been going on the whole time, so I don't know who is watching that's relating to, but
well, there was a Debbie in the chat that we were chatting with. That's not where that's coming from, is it?
No. That's not where it's coming from.
Okay.
Yeah. This started like when we first even started the program.
Okay.
Yeah,
Blessings and love. Thank you, Virgil. Same to you, my friend. Yeah.
I have to ask, can I say something else? Virgil, you have to give me more information. I wish you could give me more information about this lady. It's bothering me. It's like she wants to say something else to you. She's saying she's sorry. Yeah. She didn't really mean to do it. She was at a crossroads, not to pick up Peg's terminology, but she was at a crossroads. She was really worried. She didn't know if she could do this. Like she didn't know like if she could stay here, like, but she wanted to stay here for you. She was here longer for you, but she probably would have gone a while ago, but she stayed longer for you because you were her friend, you were her soulmate, and she's sorry. And she doesn't want to, and her heart was really breaking, but she doesn't want, she feels peaceful at this state because she feels like that's where she is at peace. Not because she passed, but she doesn't have worry or concern anymore. And so she's saying, I'm sorry, but it's like, she's like, just remember me in a good way, then you'll see me in a good way. And I have to say it, but I would love to get more confirmation, but it's very hard to get that kind of, I think, on chat. But
Virgil, if you want to reach out privately, feel free. If you another day you want to send me an email or something, we can chat. I'd be happy to, or I can connect you with one of the ladies if you prefer to, schedule a session with one of them. That'd be fine as well. I feel like listen.
Yeah.
And so he says, honestly, I don't know. I was shocked, and I'm sure he was and is. It's not something to get over. Really, it just takes a while.
I know suicide is tough, but unfortunately, I get a lot of those when I'm reading people, and I believe that God does take them because they are not in a right state of mind when they are. And I don't believe any of them doesn't go to God, but I do believe that she went to God. She just, and I almost feel like sometimes that. I feel like it sounds awful, but I think people do have a right to make a decision if they don't feel like they're in a good place. Like she was in such a turmoil in her life that she didn't feel like she could function right. Maybe she didn't verbalize this to you, but she didn't feel like she could function right. And now she doesn't feel like that anymore. She feels calm. She feels a beautiful sense of calm.
Yeah.
So
We have to get over the taboo deaths of, the suicide, the overdoses, and understand when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. It whispers in your ear and it's your time to go.
Mental illness is like any other illness, just because it's in the brain doesn't mean it's any different than something that affects another part of your body. It can't be helped. Let's see. Peg says, I've been getting spirit number signs, so I hear them telling me to keep going with this direction, 13 over and over and over. Yeah. I think you're going the direction you're supposed to go to. I think you're being guided in that direction,
Don't second guess yourself.
No.
Does she do that often? Yeah,
second guess.
I keep going the road. And
I used to be her babysitter. She lived 2 houses down the street from me, and we lived over paranormal activity. That's when things started happening in our neighborhood. But she does second guess herself because she makes a lot of crazy decisions, but they're usually good decisions. And so then she gets herself a little nervous. So I would love somebody else's insight. I'm staying out of this one.
Just go for it. Do not second guess yourself.
Candace says she'd love to hear a message from her sister or her mom.
Well, I'm getting something in my chest area for sure. Like there was some kind of heart attack or stroke, but it feels like lungs too, heart or lungs. And I'm not sure.
I'm to the side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm to the side. I feel like I'm on the side.
See, when I'm getting the sister, I'm feeling very clogged. I'm feeling like the lymphatic system.
Was there anything in the throat, like with a tube at all?
I'm getting like right here.
Yeah. With either one of them, Candace?
What was the question? I'm sorry, I missed it too. I'm looking for in the chat. What did you say, Lauren?
Well, it's just something about my heart in my chest. And I felt like it was, I first felt like it was my heart, but then it also feels like my whole lungs are like filling up with something.
Like that's right. I feel clogged in the lymphatic system. So that's.
But then I felt something down here. So that means that there was a tube. So that can happen at end of life where fluids are coming up. But does that make sense with you, Candace, with either your mom or your sister? Okay. Your sister had a stroke from a possible overdose. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I need to say, I'm over here like doing the chat and I'm going back and forth, but I'm thinking that too with the sister. And that's, so I'm just going to say it next time, but I feel like I'm not really tuned in because I'm doing everything, but I was feeling that too. Some kind of a substance issue.
Did you just see this?
No.
Sorry.
What?
Not to be subject, but the thing from Debbie about the miss. Remember I said I saw a boy too? And it's a little girl. She said they just put it in the post. It was a little boy. Interesting.
Okay.
So your old son.
Okay, so that's the Debbie, because the minute we started, I kept hearing Deborah. So, but I don't know. That was just weird. The sister though. Yeah, we're all over the place here. But the sister, she keeps taking it. I don't know how old this Candace is, okay? But when she said sister or mother, I kept seeing kind of like Holly Hobby, going back to a childhood state. Remember what Holly Hobby curtains and bedspreads and stuff look like? So that's a certain time period with that rag doll. But it keeps saying that was a happier time. That was a happier time. So I don't know if Holly Hobby means something to her, if they shared a bedroom, what that is. But I kept seeing that Holly Hobby.
Karen, did she leave Candace? Sorry, not Karen. Candace, did she leave a granddaughter? Because I'm feeling like there is a younger child, but living around her in some way. And I don't know if she left her when she passed or if she's here now. Yes, and she had Holly Hobby is what she's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was just driving me crazy there. Okay, thank you.
Good job, girl.
Thanks. But she keeps saying she wants to go back to that time. That's the time she wants, to be remembered. That was her happy moments.
Yep.
I actually do like the dynamic. Peggy just said that. That's kind of cool because this is what the medium link is. Mediums can work together. We can
Absolutely. I
work
love working
together.
with mediums.
I think we all need to start a crime show, solving crimes. Anyway.
Absolutely.
We should have our own podcast, just the three of us, 2 mediums and an extra large. I got the name picked out. I won't say who's who. No, I won't say who's who. Let's see. I love that. And Candace said she had grandson.
Okay. Oh wow!
Yeah.
She got grandsons. There you go.
She had grandsons.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing like little ones, and like I said, I didn't know if she had them before she passed or after the fact. You know what I mean? If the daughter or children grew up and she had grandchildren after.
Now, Scott, you're going to have to come to the paranormal conference so you and I can do like a little talk. We can bounce off these things with each other. Okay.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I'll probably show up anyway. If you want to do that, we could talk about something, that would be kind of fun. And when Karen and I, especially Karen, because she and I work together a lot, when we do gallery events, a lot of times we're tuned in together with the same one.
That's so cool.
It doesn't happen every time, but I love when it happens. It's really cool.
One of my favorite story with us is the Oliver House. Kept getting a plant, a flower, a plant. Somebody's named after it. We're both getting it. Nobody would answer us. So we're sitting down and we're talking to people. And this woman sits down.
Oh, you and me. That's right. Yeah.
I says, I'm still getting a plant. She goes, well, I just want to see if I hear from what was it, her grandma Fern. And him and I
Fern or something.
each other. And it's
like, hello.
Fern, hello. This is what we've been asking it for 2 hours now.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's
But we
awesome.
were both tuned into this plant.
Yeah.
Somebody named after a plant, Fern.
Wow. That's interesting.
It's kind of funny how that happens, Kind of funny how that happens.
It's either we're seeing something, we're feeling something, they're spelling it out, or you see an image. It's just so very cool. Oh. There was something about a paranormal question, though. Can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
From Ashley, real quick, if that's okay. She said she had videos of orbs, voices, stuff turning on and off, but it's not crazy. A lot of weird stuff. It's not bad. You're just picking up frequency, which you can pick up, especially with the camera, like seeing orbs. I get them all the time. If you are not feeling really sickly or uncomfortable, you're okay. If you feel very nauseous or got taste in your mouth and you're scared to death, it most likely is not okay because your body will tell you. So are you feeling sickly or not? So that's what I have to ask. Yeah,
good question. So Emily's asking if she's able to get a reading. Absolutely. Emily, put something in the chat. What would you like to know? You're looking for a mediumship reading, or what's your question? And we'll go from there. Just put it in the chat if you like. Yeah, mad aggravated. Yeah, I think we all of a sudden we get a bunch of people like chiming in looking for.
I don't mind staying on. So it's up to you.
Yeah, we can stay on a little. We can stay on a little bit more. It's funny, Pulse Talk. Typically, when you're doing these shows, like when we were with KGRA, I mean, we had a 49-minute. I mean, it was a hard stop. 49-minute. I'm like, okay, stop talking. We're done. We had to go. We had a producer. Pulse Talk, it's the middle of the night. We can go on as long as we want because they just have, generic music on when we're not on. So we're good. Let's see. What am I supposed to be doing where I am now? You're talking about in your life or in your job or like?
That's very vague.
Yeah. Just narrow it down a little bit so we know where we need to focus. Fleetwood says, do any of you see the spirits with your eyes? Yes, Lauren does for sure. You do too, Stacia? It's me, it's mind's eye. I read that quickly, and this is what happens when you mind the chat. I thought he was asking me if any of the spirits had my eyes. Yes, beautiful blue eyes, that one over there. That's what I saw quickly.
You should be having some, well, this is tea, but we should be having some wine together for this.
We should be having something else, right?
How I see them is I will start getting like glitters, like a sparkler. And I'll start seeing, sometimes it's just a bright burst of light. I'll see them even push through the veil like this. I'll see maybe what like gas fumes look like. I'll start seeing auras, and as I'm seeing that, then they start presenting themselves in my mind's eye. Now there are times they're standing right in front of me. I can see them, but I start seeing like the glitters and the auras, and the thinning of the veil. But then they start producing themselves. I just get the energy there. Do any of you see? Okay, same one.
Let's
Going
see.
back to the one saying making the decision. Oh wait, hold this. I thought I dropped it.
I'd love any input. The timing when I type her name in, dates and all, 13 years. Wow, Deborah. Oh, Deborah's from. Okay, so back on that, Deborah. Deborah is her mom. Divine time. I appreciate you all and love the energy. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Virgil says we're helping so many people. Thank you, Virgil. Just glad to be here. Okay. This is the one that we were looking at before. So she moved from far away. Her whole town burned down. Oh my gosh. And I had many people die lately. I'm completely starting my life over, and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm having trouble letting go.
Can I tell you, because I flipped over some tarot cards. I'm glad you said that. I got the Six of Swords, which my cards are beat up really bad. But that is, I always call my refugee cards, leaving troubled waters to smoother waters, no matter how bad it gets. Do the travel. But when you're saying about you need to let go, because I got the Judgment card, just let go of everything, honey. The minute you let go of it, you're going to feel better. And also, I'm getting ready to sneeze, which is a sign of mine. Emily, honey, you have to work on some of your family generational trauma. That's something that needs to be worked on, is moving past this. There's a lot of forgiveness that needs to be done, and understanding that you have to break cycles, and that you are a strong person, and holding on to it is not what you want. You need to move forward. Thank you.
I will always say people have their own timing with everything.
Yeah.
And like I will tell you that, I'm gonna say I made mistakes as a medium. Our regular stuff is like, oh, in time you'll feel better and you'll get stronger. And but then I lost my mom, and I'll never be the same. I don't care what anybody says to me. I'll never be the same. Nobody can tell us when to move on. But I will, and I'm not saying it gets easier, and that was only 7 months ago. But I will say that one thing that I've done is I'm doing self-care now. And I'm like, when things don't feel comfortable to me, I start to say no. When things exhaust me, I say no. When I feel like it's okay to breathe and take a day off, I just do it, because that's my own healing process. And your own healing process is like when you feel like you can smile and do something fun, you just do it, because little by little, you'll feel like you'll be kind of guided in the right direction when the time is. That's going to be like 3 or 4 months anyway, where you're going to feel any better than you do right now. But just be like, I'm grateful for the people that I had in my life and what I had in my life. And I'm going to take it one day at a time. And I'll know when I need to do certain things and make changes. This is not the time. You're definitely not ready to make any decisions right now. It's too much. You feel so overwhelmed within my body. Like you feel so overwhelmed that don't try to rush the process.
The process takes steps, and I get that. I buried my son. It'll be 6 years here in like a week. And you're just never the same. You just are not, who you once were. I picked up the cards, I started shuffling, and I got that Judgment card again. It's just saying, about forgiveness. That's forgiveness on yourself sometimes, forgiveness on others. But, there just needs to, keep the good memories is what you need to do. Just forgiveness.
Yeah.
Boy, Scott, you're outnumbered with 2 women.
Hello, Lexi Moriarty from Vermont. Nice to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. I'm just trying to look. Yeah. How does she do that? She says, how does she do that? How do you forgive? How do you move on? I think it's just.
Honey, I'll tell you, I'm a generational healer. I'm a shaman. And you know, I have many clients that sit down in front of me. I have therapists that I send them to. You have to understand that the lessons we have, the good, the bad, and the ugly, make us who we are. And if somebody has hurt you, holding on to it, you're owning it, letting it go. And which, let me tell you, there's things that I have been hurt on, and you let it go, and then you cycle back around and you have another lesson, and you have to resit with what has hurt you, but it has made you stronger. You don't want to be stumped at that spot.
I'm gonna tell you something, Emily. This isn't as a medium. This is as a person who
Yes.
does grief work with people, because I was a funeral director for 35 years. So I'm gonna tell you something. What you're experiencing is, it's one death is bad enough. Never mind a ton, and your house and everything else to go along with it. But if you get up in the morning and you live in you're sleeping in your bedroom, and you walk down the hall, and you have to cross the living room to get to the kitchen to get your coffee. And one day you get to the living room and you realize there's a huge hole in the floor. You can't get to the kitchen anymore. And you think, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to now live in this house and get to the kitchen? Eventually, you'll realize if you stand next to the wall and sidestep around the room, you'll get your way to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the faster you'll go. You'll learn how to navigate around the hole. The hole's still there. I lost my mom 2 years ago. And, for those of us that do this work, we can tell you, just because we connect with spirit doesn't mean it's easy for us. It isn't. We go through the same grief that everyone else goes through. And you that hole in your life, that hole in your floor, it's there. It's not going away, because your life is different. But you learn to navigate it. And somehow the good days start to outnumber the bad days. And then you start to think that, you'll find, I don't want to call it a silver lining. Okay. I don't, but I know with like my mom, I didn't want to lose her. It was sudden, but I don't worry about her anymore. So there's that. I mean, everybody's silver lining is going to be different. And I hate to use that word silver lining, but you'll find something that gives you peace, right? For me, that's where the peace is, that I know she's okay. I know where she is, and I don't worry about her, because I did worry about her because she had health issues. So we'll all find something that can give us peace. But this is a journey, and yours may take longer. And I wish I could give you something today to just say, just do this. You'll feel better tomorrow. It's really about taking the time and honoring them. And if you feel like today you want to honor them and think about them, that's great. If tomorrow you think, you know what, I need to do something to just distract myself, that's also okay. Because when you're not thinking of them, that's okay, because that's preservation, and you need to be able to just manage it. And you have to have days where you manage. And if you laugh, if you tell a joke, if you make a friend and you smile, that doesn't mean that you love them or miss them any less. It just means that you have to keep going, which is what they would want. But it takes time. And don't let anybody tell you, well, it's been a year.
No.
You have to keep going, and you have to take as much time as you need, really. So I wish I could give you something better than that. I wish there was a feel better quick pill, but it just doesn't work that way. And sadly,
what I tell my clients is I love for them to make family altars, and put out little snacks and put out the pictures, hang up the Christmas ornaments. But at the same time, I also like to, I'm scared of forgetting them. No, and this is what I'm going to say is making the dishes and the apple pies and the cookies. And when I pull in spirits, I always say mine are very nostalgic. They give me recipes or dishes, and everybody starts laughing, because what do you remember? People buy food, cook, listen to the music. With my son, he was 22 years old. He was my only child. And, it totally turned my life upside down. I do things still to this day that we had planned on doing. I mean, I did glass blowing on his second anniversary of his passing. I was standing there, making a pumpkin, crying, and everybody probably thought, what's up with this woman? But I completed it and I brought it home and I set it on the little altar I made for him. And, sometimes I see Pokemon stuff and I buy it and I set it on the altar. It still connects me to my child. There's times, you know, I make him certain foods and I put a little plate of food out and I said, Bud, I'm like, hey, Bud, this is for you. That's how you don't forget them, is you keep living and doing, making their favorite dishes, sharing the holidays. Once you shut all that down, you forgot them. Keep living. They live through you. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of times every step I take hurts. And, everything I do, I just have tears in my eyes, especially this time, of year. But you have to push through with it. That's how they continue, and you don't forget them. You'll laugh again, you'll cry, you'll scream, but they'll be with you through that journey.
You know what it was for me too? It wasn't so much forgetting them as it was, am I going to still love them in 5 years? That was a weird thing. Like, what's there to love when they're not here? But that continues. You don't worry about them. The love is different because you have no worry, you have no fear.
Yeah.
But the love stays. That's just part of who we are as people, as beings, as spirits.
Well, the thing is that they won't let you forget them because they're going to keep coming through to you in ways that you will never expect. You might see them, you might hear them, you might hear a song, you might smell something that smells like them, or a cigarette smell, because they know you miss them. They miss you just as much. So they are always going to try to do contact. If you feel like you're losing a connection with them, I always tell people, go over one of the letters that they wrote or something they signed and touch it. It kind of reconnects you to their energy because they wrote that, hold a ring or hold a piece of jewelry that they had because you're going to feel their energy. Sleep with something that they wore or hold it because you're going to feel their energy. You won't forget them, and they're never going to let you forget them either. And I'll tell you, like I said, I'm a medium, like Scott said it exactly right. We have our own healing too, and our own losses too. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to do my mediumship after my mom died. I was with her at end of life. I became an end of life doula, so I knew exactly what I needed to say and how to handle everything when she passed. I did it right to the T. I was like, I'll never be able to work again. And I was doing a medium event 3 weeks later because I had to. I could not reschedule another one. And it's like, where is my mom? She always wanted to see a reading. I come in my office when I went back to work and I saw the outline of her on the chair. She was watching because I finally get to see a reading. Yep. So the thing is, not everybody can have those experiences. But what I'm saying is that you will never forget them. There's no way you can forget them. And like I said, if you feel like you're losing a link, take a picture of them. Sometimes it's hard to have a picture of them up. I couldn't see my mom for 2 months because it would kill me to see her up. So I would put it away. But then when I was ready and I was strong enough, I'd bring it out. I do other things. I go to her grave site. I'll talk about her out loud. And like whenever you talk about a loved one out loud, you're automatically linking to them. And you can ask them to show you a very specific sign. And it's my favorite story because I always say to people, like, I don't know what to look for. How do I know to give me a sign? Ask them to show you something very specific. Maybe it's their birthday. Maybe it's, like 8/13. Mom and dad, when you're around it, say it's their birthday, show me 8/13. Then you'll start to see it in license plates and different things because they're making a link and saying, maybe I can't come through your senses, but I'm going to show you something else that you can recognize. They will do it if you ask them what to show you. And the favorite story that I wanted to say real quick was there was a girl that said, I asked my dad to show me a dill pickle. And I'm like, okay, that's unique. And she said, yep, because we used to eat them together all the time. So she said, Dad, when you're around me, I want to see a dill pickle. And the next day a van went by. She was on the highway and there's a big dill pickle on it.
That's fun.
And I said to my mother, I missed you singing happy birthday to me this year. My birthday was on Easter. My husband puts a TV show on. It's Blue Bloods. And they're going, happy birthday to you in the TV show.
Yeah.
Now those are signs.
Emily, I have a question
they
for you.
still exist.
Yeah. Emily, who liked Pringles, or it kind of tastes like sour cream and onion chips, but I keep getting like the shaking can of Pringles. Who was the chip eater? The whole entire time you're talking, I'm like, I'm getting like he's shaking, the Pringles taste, and it's driving me crazy over here. See what he says, because
I wish
that's
I
the
had some Pringles.
like,
Maybe she's having cravings for another reason. We should talk to her about that.
Are you pregnant?
No.
oh God, no.
She said she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I'm also picking up on a diabetic, and I don't know who that is either. Now, that could be one of you, but Emily, I don't know if one of them was a diabetic that,
Yeah.
I'm because I'm picking up on that too.
I am craving chips right now so bad, and chips, that's really, it's driving me insane, and it's not something I really eat.
You're probably picking up from me because I've been having a salt crave lately.
Oh, are you? Because it's like this real salty crave, and I'm like, it's driving me insane.
It's awful. I don't know why, but I have salty. Yep.
My son was gifted one of the he comes through quite strong. And the one day I was sitting in the room with my husband, and I just looked across the room like this. And my husband goes, "Well, what did you see?" I said, "The Black Parade." He goes, "What's that?" I said, "Never mind. I'm not even going to explain it." And he starts, bothering me and says, "Listen, I got to go pick up our food." I get in the car, I turn the car on, and I hear the music note go ting on the piano. And I look over on the radio, the beginning of the song, and it was My Chemical Romance, Black Parade, the tattoo my son had on his arm. And I thought, you little stinker, you. There you were. I literally watched the parade go through, the living room. And yeah, he's very active. He also was gifted. And my grandson, my son passed away when, they were pregnant. And my grandson was at the house, and he's like, yeah, I just need to check these fire detectors. And I says, "No, buddy, wait till, Pappy comes home. He can lift you up." He goes, "Man, if I could just get one of them to go off, you hear beep." I said, "Seriously, Steven, you clicked it off for your kid?" Yeah, he set it off. Just one beep. So yeah, he was very gifted, so he navigates very well, and it's very nice, to have him around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I think we're coming to the end of the show tonight. This has really been nice. And we really have gotten a lot of people with a lot of, sometimes we just deal with people doing what we do with just like bucket loads of pain and hurt. And that I think is the hardest thing. Let me just go back to Emily for one thing, then we'll close out the show, because she's asking if you can, is there anything you can tell me from my grandparents or her friend?
I'm gonna right here. I got a bad pain right here in my head. It does feel like the grandfather. But I'm gonna ask you something. Did they like music? Listen to music? Because I was listening to like the old, like the old Slate records or the old records. I could hear it in my head, like that Lawrence Welk. Honey, they want music back in your life. There's when they're playing it, then I could just go and there's just silence there, nothing. Please listen to the music. I'm picturing, like the old, you remember the old consoles that you used to lift up and, have the record player in? I'm hearing the music, dear.
Well, did your friend commit suicide?
I'm going to paint right here.
There's something about suicide with your friend. It was an accident, though. It feels like something's in her system that did result in her passing away. Does that make any sense? Is that a yes from you? I'm not sure what the yes means, Emily, if that's for about the music or the suicide.
Papa would listen to that.
Okay.
And then she says yes. I don't know if the yes is which one the yes is, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Honey, listen to the music. I don't know if you have his old records.
Oh, so he shot himself.
Okay, that's the pain I'm getting right here in the head. Okay.
Was there something in the system though? Did they have alcohol or drugs in the system? Because I felt that, and then I heard it was suicide.
Yeah. I'm really sorry about that, kiddo. I still
That's
think he's the
awful.
one that wants the potato chips, though. Yeah. Yeah, it's just throbbing right here.
Okay, I'm
I'm
sorry. Sorry,
I'm very
Emily.
sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
I know it gets tiring after a while. It's not that we love to do our work, but as mediums, I'm sure we all feel it because you feel the drain. Like after, like for me, like when I do a show, I only can go like if I have like 60 or 70 people, I only go like a couple of hours, and like by that 1 hour and 45-minute pot, I'm like, ooh, like it was like comes down like, okay, you're shutting off. Whether you want to or not, you just.
Yeah, it shuts down.
Oh yeah. I'm taking a day tomorrow because I've just full days. I worked on police cases today. I'm feeling it.
Can I ask you how you got involved with police? Oh, no, maybe not. I'll talk to you on the side.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
involved with police cases. Should we ask you one more question for this lady that just came on late that didn't get a reading?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So you talk about Stacy?
Yeah. What does Stacy have to?
Stacy, did you want to ask a question about a reading? Or, I mean, we do our live show on Wednesday nights. So we're Wednesday nights at 7:00, and would love to have you join us anytime. I knew a medium from South Africa whose last name was Van Zyl. And she is the South African medium, but she lives in New Jersey now. She's here. Her name is Lee Van Zyl. And I've had her on my show before, so I didn't know if you were connected in any way. Probably not, but it was just interesting when I saw the name. If you're still here, Stacy, and you have a question, please ask it. Otherwise, we certainly will catch you next week. You're welcome to come on and show and join us next week. Yes, I wondered if you, okay, here she is. I wondered if you maybe have any messages from me.
It's very open-ended. Do you mean psychic or mediumship, hon? Because they're very different. No.
From her brother.
From a brother.
What happened to his legs? Anything happened to his legs? Did he lose his legs at all? Or did he have pain or something go up in his legs with his blood clots?
Well, I'm glad you said the blood clot. I just felt like my chest was smashed, and also this eye. I know it sounds weird, but my eye there was a pressure that wanted to push it outwards. How did he pass? Because I mean, I was just hit in the chest very hard, and then this eye hurt.
Just in the chat here.
If you can answer, Stacy, that would be great, so we can get some confirmation if anything makes sense for you. I know you just came on late, so you probably didn't know we were asking for responses in the chat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he had blood cancer. He went blind, is what she said. He had blood cancer.
That's the pressure behind the eye.
Blood cancer. That was the blood.
Okay, but that's the eye. Like it was really bugging, was pushing this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
He's okay.
Yeah,
He doesn't feel like he was very old, though. Was he in his 40s or 50s? Okay, that would make sense with the legs. Okay. Couldn't walk the last few days. Very interesting. Okay. Thank you for the confirmation.
Thank you. Sorry,
Wow.
Stacy. He is fine though.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, lovely people, for joining me. Lauren, I'd like you to just take a moment and share whatever you want to share about yourself, your web address, how they can reach you for readings, because I know you're going to have a lot of people intrigued after what you did tonight. So please feel free to share, how people can reach you and that kind of thing.
Okay, well, thank you. I didn't, okay, so I I can be reached. I do have a Facebook page, Medium Lauren Robbins, where I do, you can see events that are coming up, and I do Facebook Lives too once in a while. But anybody can reach me. Just look up Medium Lauren Robbins. You'll find my website, .com. I do private sessions, my office, phone, and online. So I do read people internationally, and I do private classes and events as well. And I try to teach people about the other side. And my mission is to prove that the afterlife exists.
Yeah.
You can find my phone number. You can call my office to book. You can fill out a form to book. And there's limited self-booking right now if anybody's interested. But thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining us, Lauren. It's been a pleasure. And we will talk, because I'll probably see you there. I'm sure I'll see you there in Salem when you're there. So for everyone else, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here and for sharing this time with us. Have a wonderful Wednesday night, and we'll see you again next week right here on Spirit Talk Live. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today for Spirit Talk Live with Scott Allen. Please remember to subscribe to Spirit Talk Live on YouTube and share on all your